Hello and welcome to Hixxy Studio. In this video I'm going to show you how to make this card. I have a couple of things I'm using. So I'm using a 3D embossing folder by Sue Wilson called Honeycomb Trellis to provide some nice texture on our background. And I'm using this die, also Creative Expressions by Paper Panda. Paper Panda, if you don't know Paper Panda, is extremely talented, creates hand sort of paper cut pieces, beautifully, they're art in their own right, but has also created a range of dies for Creative Expressions, and this is one of the newer ones, I believe. So this is Be Happy, and so we're going to create this card just a little bit of a different effect here. Quite straightforward. So I have chosen just a simple colour scheme, but I'm using pattern papers. So don't be frightened of just using pattern papers and not sort of sort of plain card. I know I've used it for the back, but with your die cutting and that, it doesn't have to. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, I'm looking for my glue. I'm not really knowing what I'm doing there. Yeah, so don't be put off of cutting into or die cutting into your pattern papers, because it gives a really great and different effect. Okay, so this whole card then is gone for this sort of yellow and teal thing. Now you can see my papers are double-sided, and for this little thing I'm doing, you do need something that's double-sided. However, if you don't have double-sided papers, then what you can do is you can ink onto the back of a piece of pattern paper, or you could ink onto both sides of a piece of card or paper. It's just because when you do the fold backs, then you need something nice on the inside. And actually you don't need to ink the whole lot. If that's the case, you can just use just a bit of ink or whatever in that area. So I'm going to emboss this piece and then cut it down. This is about 7.5 by 5 3/4. This embossing folder. It's a 3D embossing folder. Make sure you check which way around you're using it. If you want the sort of honeycomb trellis to be embossed, then you need the bit with the recesses on the top, so that this pushes them up into it. Okay, so we're just going to run that through, and we're going to use the two play for our emboss. Now, if you want to bring that out more, you can just run an ink pad over the top. I haven't used it. I've made 2 cards with this combination of the die and the embossing folder, and I haven't on either of them, because I just feel it's just a little bit of lovely texture in the background. So there's my emboss piece, and you can see how beautifully that embosses. I mean, and this is paper. This is a 3D emboss. This is heavyweight paper, but it hasn't cracked the paper at all. It's a really, really lovely folder. Okay, well, let's cut this down to the size that I need. So one thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to check. My piece of paper is square. Sometimes when you emboss things, they get a little bit distorted. So I'm just going to give that a little bit of a, Okay, right. So I'm going to use this as my corner to work from. You know, that one is now square. So I'll put that on. And I'm just going to mark it there. Let's make sure I mark that quite clearly, because it's quite a dark colour piece of paper. Now my base card, in case you're wondering, is one of those roughly 6x6s where, you know, I use the length of A4 but by 6 inches and then score it at 5 7/8. So that's my base card. Definitely my go-to. Or is it? That is what I did, yeah. Yeah. So you can see it's 6 by about 5 7/8. Yeah. So that's kind of my go-to size. Right. So there is my bit for the middle. Now, that's, make sure I get the card up the right way. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my board, my mat, to help me work out where to make my cut. Now, when I did this one, I thought, oh, and it should be enough. And by the time I'd rolled it over and put it down, I realized it wasn't quite. So I'm going to do it slightly larger this time. So what I'm doing is I'm looking for roughly an inch and not an inch and a half, because that will make it smaller. So I'm looking roughly for about sort of 3/4 of an inch in from the side, and I'm just making a little bit of a mark. I'm going to rub these out later. And the same here, about 3/4, and move that in a little bit. So roughly 3/4, and the same here. I'm going roughly 3/4. So the reason I've done that is because I'm going to cut into the paper so that I can then roll it and fold it back. So I'm not going to do a straight cut. I'm going to do it sort of a bit of an angle, but this gives me sort of a rough starting point and a rough finishing point. So I'm literally going in with my knife and I'm going to do there. So that's my first cut. And then I'm going to I'll go this way. Again, now just be careful when you get to that middle bit, because then it becomes a little bit weaker. Okay, so I've now got my 4 pieces here. Not quite in there. There we go. I'm just going to rub out the pencil lines. They're gone. And I'm going to get, I found bizarrely I couldn't do it with that pencil, possibly because of that, but just a bog standard pencil. What you don't want to do is just try and do it freehand, because you'll end up sort of, the paper will crack a little bit. So if you can get a pencil, and you can see I've then got a nice curl. And I on that one I did use some double-sided tape, some red liner tape, to hold it down, and we'll see how we go. I might or I might not. Okay, let's go a little further on that. Just be careful that you're not ripping it past where you've cut. And then this one. Again, there. That. And then this is there. Now what that's done, because I've gone further back, I've got a slightly bigger aperture, which means I'll see more of the die underneath, which is always a bonus. So I think I will use, I might just use actually, yeah, I will use a little bit of red liner on the bottoms of these folds, just so that it will stay open. So putting a little bit, I'm not worried if it's going sort of out over the edges, because it's not really going to be seen anyway. So a little bit on the bottom of each one, and in a minute I'll get my pokey tool. And we'll just take the backing off and then stick it down so that it doesn't keep curling back up. You could do it with the glue if you've got a really good quick grab glue. Then you could do it with that. I just found it was easier with tape. Right, so I just realised I got the glue off my the lid off my glue, so bear with me. I'm just going to put the lid back on that. So I'm just going to remove the backing on each bit. Second bit. And this bit there. And then the fourth bit there. Okay, so then, oh, where did that go? Who knows? But it's off. Right, it's on my finger. There we go. Right, so we're going to just work out how far back we want this, and then just push it down. I'm going to put my pencil in there, just press that bit of red tape down. And then this one here. And then I'm going to stick the pencil through there. So that's that. This one back. That one back a little bit more actually. So there. I'll get that down. And then this one. You may find when you come back to it in a minute that it's popped up again. So we'll deal with that if that happens. Okay, so there, yeah, that one's popped up already. Push me so I can get my. There we go. There we go. Right, so now we're not going to stick that down yet because we're going to cut the die to put behind. So we're cutting it from the same piece of paper, not the same piece, but the same pattern paper. And I need to find my die. There we go. Right, so we're going to run this through. And oh, that's my bit. Like so. And I'm going to just use a bit of card in there. Don't need the magnetic because that is more pressure. Hopefully this will be enough pressure because that's it's not a heavyweight card. It's a paper. Okay. See if that's cut out. You can see with it being a darker piece of paper, it's not always that easy to see, but I think we're pretty much okay on that. We'll soon see, won't we? Let's take the thing off. And this is going to be kept whole, and it's just going to sit behind the little torn piece. Now, these little hexagons that come out, you can keep those for as little embellishments for other project. But I'm not going to for this particular one. There we go. Cut nicely. Excuse me. I'm just going to clean that because I need going to cut this again with another piece of paper so that we can cut into it to create the little bits for the embellishments. So we've got all that. There's one more bit down there. I think. Oh, Okay, so that's nice and clean, ready to cut again in a moment, but we'll do that in a sec. I'm going to stick this one down first. So, you see it, that's what I want. And I'm much happier with it this time. I think I've left a better amount of space. Now, for the moment, all I'm doing is sticking it to this. So I'm just going to put some glue around the edge of this. I'm going to use my fine tip applicator, and I'm going to glue around the outer. It's just fine. I just found it was easier to position it like this rather than trying to stick it on the background and then stick this down, this bit on top. So it doesn't have to hold for too long, to be honest with you, because it's just to give you a bit of time to position this before we then stick the whole thing down onto this. So not there. In fact, I'm going to put it on there for the moment. It just gives me more of a visual of what I want to see. So do that. So I'm just going to push that down so those bits stick. That's all I need, because now I'm going to put glue all over the back of this. Ooh. And then stick this onto the base card. And then the next thing we're going to do then is to cut this again. So this time we've got the teal showing, and then chop into it to create some embellishments for the card. That's probably enough. This is then going to go. Oh, that was lucky. Nearly stuck it upside down. There we go. That's why you always should check before you actually stick. Right, so there we go. Okay, so lid on that and get my other piece of paper. And we're going to cut this die again, this time with, we've got a nice teal dark one for the embellishment. Run it through exactly the same way. Card and shim. Lid back on that. Oh, that's right. Okay. Yep. You can see when it's a lighter piece, you can see whether it's cut well or not. So, I'm going to keep one of those bits of honeycomb because I want it for an embellishment up there. So I'm just going to put that. Hopefully I won't lose it in the meantime. Right, my brush. And take it all. Okay. That's pretty much cleaned. So that's that done. Put those in the bin. Right, so now we're going to snip into this. So here you can see that I've kept these little sort of flowers. So I'm going to sort of snip in, and it is a case of however you would like it to be, then you know, I'm going to keep the bees as well, I think. So let's put a little flower there, and that little leaf there, and there. Okay, that's one little bit. Use that. I don't know. Just trying to work out what bit that was, but it doesn't really matter if it's not the same as before. I'm going to cut the bees out to make sure I get them. That's will be there. And yeah, I think I'll cut this separate again like I did last. Go. And there. And actually, no, I'll leave it joined to there, like so. A little bit of a honeycomb there. And what else are we going to do? Let's I'm going to cut that little bit off there. I'm going to go up to there with that, I think. I'm just muttering away to myself here. I'm just, you know, it's entirely up to you how you do this, you know, or if you do it. Just have a look and see what you can get out of it. Let's put it down here and have these couple of leaves and tidy that up. Gives it a little bit more interest. Like so. Okie dokie. So I have as well. There and there. Right, so really all that we haven't used really is the actual sentiment, the be happy. It's gonna work out how I want this in here. Change my mind. And I seem to not have cut something out that I did last time, but I'm not sure what. Can't quite see what I've done. It's no biggie. Let's go with what I've got. Oh, hey, I can't get my fingers around that. There, I think. I'm just going to trim that a little bit. It's going to annoy me otherwise. So like I said, with this, it's. I'm going to take that and use this bit instead up there. No, I'm not, because it'd be flying the wrong way. It'd be flying off the page rather than into the page. So let's do that one there. That bit there. That. And the little bee here. Yeah, that'll do. Glue. Get some glue. I keep changing my mind. I'm sure you do that when you do your things too. I'm completely lost in my own little world thinking, I don't know. Maybe I should put that. I don't know. Let's go. Let's go with it. Go with it. I still can't just go with it, can I? I'm still faffing. Let's go. On this little bit. Yeah. I'm still, like I said, I'm still totally fine. Let's go with it. And that little bit there. And our little bee goes on like so. Like that. And then this little bit over here. Like that. And just grabbing my little bow. And go on that. That'll be there. And then I've got a ribbon. I've got a bow. Nice bow there. On. And I've got one of those little pieces that's come out just to go on the top of my bow. And there we have it. So I have used Paper Panda's Be Happy die. And I have shown you that you don't just need to use it flat, cut into it, and tuck it behind things. And I have also used the Creative Expressions 3D Honeycomb Trellis folder to create this card. Now have a look on the channel, because there is another card that I've done using these two things, completely different, inky background, still a little bit of cutting in, but looks very different. And make sure you subscribe so that you get updates on when we put new things on. So thank you for joining me.